Hello everyone, it's Naushin and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry to come in front of the camera with such bare face and with all these acne marks. I'm sorry guys, but this is what today's video is all about. So I'm gonna show you guys how I hide my acne marks, dark circles, all those bad boys. I generally do not get acne throughout the year. My face is pretty clean throughout the year, pretty much throughout the year, except this summer times. So every single summer it comes back on my face and I need to deal with it for the whole summer, like 2-3 months, as long as the summer stays. I don't know what is wrong with Seattle summer weather. It comes back on my face and no matter what I do, it's gonna stay on my face for the whole summer. So I felt like, without feeling bad, let's do something good out of it. Let's utilize this opportunity and show you guys how I hide these acne marks. So I am not left with any active acne at this moment. What I'm left with is these purple dark spots and I have some dark circles under my eyes as well. So we are gonna hide this today. So first I moisturize my face. My face is pretty dry, but if you have oily or normal skin, just use any moisturizer of your choice that suits your skin or any sunscreen if you are going outside. Today I'm gonna use this Josie Maran Argan oil and they also have a light version. So if you have oily skin or normal skin, you can also use the light version if it is too much for you. But I like this stuff. So let the moisturizer or oil sinks into your skin for a few minutes. Then you can move to primer. Today I'm gonna use this coconut skin smoothing primer moisturizer. Oh, it is called also moisturizer. So this will be my first time using it, but you can use any primer depending on your skin type. So if you have oily skin, if you have problematic pore areas, use any pore minimizing primer or mattifying primer depending on your preference, but at least use some kind of primer so that the foundation can stick to. Since I don't have oily skin, since I have dry skin, I prefer to use hydrating primer because that's my primary concern, hydration. So I let the primer sinks into my skin for a few minutes and now I'm going to go for color correcting. So let's pick a peachy tone color corrector. I'm using this Studio Finish concealer in NW40 for my skin tone. I feel like this works as a color corrector. It has a peachy undertone since it is NW and it works perfectly as my color corrector. You can also use the specific color correcting products like the orange corrector you get in the market, but I feel like, if I just use the orange corrector by itself, it is a bit too much and it sometimes shows through my foundation. It leaves an orangish tone all over my face. So I rather prefer a peachy corrector over the orange corrector. But if you already have an orange corrector in your collection, don't throw it out. You can still use it. Just mix a little bit of concealer with it and it will tone it down and you can get your peachy corrector. So I'm gonna use my finger because especially with this product, since it is a bit thick, I feel like if I use my finger, the warmth of my finger actually melts the product better. But if you are more comfortable using brushes, you can use any pencil brush. Every single brand has some kind of pencil brushes, so you can use that as well. But today I'm gonna use my finger, but definitely I have cleaned my finger, otherwise I wouldn't touch my acne with that. So as you can see, this concealer has a peachy tone. That's why it corrects the purple tone from the acne marks. So if your acne are more active, like if it has more red tone, use some green corrector instead. But my acne are generally the dark spots left with the acne, those have like the purple tone. That's why I use peachy corrector to correct them. So if you want to know more about color corrector, like how this one works, like which one to use for what color, I have a detailed video on color correcting stuff. I have explained there in detail how they cancel out each other. So I'll put the link down below. But for this video, just know that the purple tone gets cancelled out with the peachy correctors. So I'm basically putting it wherever I have acne. I also put a little bit around my lips because if you have Indian skin tone, you know that we get darker around our lips. So I put a little bit here as well. If you have light skin, you don't need to do that because you don't have anything here. You're lucky. And I have pretty dark under eye circles, so I'm gonna use that underneath my eyes as well. But don't drag it like this. Sometimes I make the mistake as well, but try to dab it, because the skin underneath our eyes is very delicate, so you don't want to cause premature aging. So again, now let it sit into your skin and dry. If you just apply the foundation right after it, it's gonna mix with the foundation and it will ruin all the work we have done. So wait for a few minutes. You can do your brows or any other work in between, but let it dry first and then apply your foundation. This is very crucial. So if you are just wondering which character shade you need to go, generally for our skin tone, dark peach works pretty well. Like Bobbi Brown has a shade called dark peach, or if you have a little bit lighter skin tone, maybe peach works for you. But you know, if you just get a little bit darker shade, there is no harm on that. You can always mix a little bit of concealer, but if you go too light as a corrector, it might not serve the purpose. So it's always better to get either peach or dark peach, a little bit darker shade, so that you know you can mix it with your concealer and find your own shade. So I think now it's totally dry, so I will move on to foundation. Now I'm gonna use this L'Oreal Pro Glow foundation. Try to use a foundation that has medium to full coverage. If you use a very light coverage foundation, that might not hide those problem areas. If you have very clean skin, then that's not a problem. But if you have acne problems and acne scars, try to use a medium to full coverage foundation. But the thing is, we will not try to hide every single scar with the foundation, because that is not it is meant for. It is only meant to even out the skin tone. So if you have problem areas, those areas you can conceal later with the concealer. Just try to even out the skin tone with the foundation. So today I am gonna use this Infallible Pro Glow because I have dry skin, but you can use any mattifying foundation or any foundation of your choice depending on your preference and skin type, but just try to stick to medium to full coverage. Like if you use BB cream, that is probably not gonna work, especially if you have such problem areas. So I basically dot it all over my face. If you have the perfect corrector shade, it's just gonna correct the dark spots, but it's not gonna leave any orange or ashy tone like you can see here. But if I would use a very dark orange corrector, that would probably leave orange mark here on my face even after using the foundation. So that is very essential, because I used to do that mistake as well. I used to use orange corrector straight from the tube, but you know, sometimes that mixed with the foundation and ruins all the work. Oh my god, I have something here. So I'm not again trying to hide everything with the foundation. I'm just trying to even out my skin tone, because I will leave that work for my concealer. But as you can see, the foundation has covered up most of the stuff. And under my eyes, I generally try not to apply any foundation because I'm gonna apply concealer either way. So I try to avoid caking product under my eyes. So as you can see, I am still left with a little bit of marks here. So I'm gonna use my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Tan because that matches my skin tone. So for concealing, the crucial step is you need something that matches exactly with your skin tone. Not lighter, not darker, because otherwise you are just gonna mark that area. So it exactly needs to match with your skin tone. Otherwise, everything you will ruin from here if you just use a lighter concealer to hide these acne marks. Now I'm gonna use my brush a bit because I think I can get a precise application with it. So from the wand, I took a little bit with my pencil brush and trying to go on that area and press it with my finger. Slightly dab it with my finger, I would say. As you can see, this concealer matches my skin tone exactly. Otherwise, you know, I would just highlight those areas. You don't want to highlight any dark spots. You just want to conceal them. And just start with a little bit of product and, you know, try to dab it around the area instead of just on the pimple, because otherwise it will just, you know, move the product. So what I'm doing is I'm placing the concealer on top of the dark marks and then trying to dab it around that area. Now I'm gonna use the same concealer under my eyes, but since I like a little bit of highlighting, I'm gonna mix it with the shade medium as well. So I'm applying the shade tan first. One thing to keep that in mind, that if you have any bump from your acne like I have here, you cannot hide that texture because it has a 3D texture there. So no matter what makeup you use, you cannot hide that. But one thing we can do is to even out the color there so that it is less visible. But when you turn your head, if anyone see you from close, they're gonna see the bump, that it is there, but it's not gonna look that gross. Now it's time to set all these cream products. Generally under my eyes, I use a loose setting powder, generally a transparent or translucent setting powder. And for the rest of my face, I use a pressed powder. So today I'm gonna use this RCMA No Color powder. I just kept it in this jar. It's easier to set under the eyes if you have a transparent setting powder. Just try to use something that has no added coverage, because otherwise it will just make that area more cakey, because this area is more delicate. And for the rest of my face, I'm gonna use this M.A.C Studio Fix Powder Plus foundation. This one is powder foundation, so it's gonna add a little more coverage. So I take a big powder brush, and what I do is I take a little bit of powder like this, and I try to press and roll very softly. Don't try to sweep it like this, otherwise it's gonna move all the work we have done. Just press and roll, so it will just take away the oily texture from the concealer and the foundation, but it's not gonna ruin the work. So press and roll all over your face. I generally use it only to the places where I have applied the corrector and concealer, because I have dry skin. But if you have oily skin, you can use it all over your face, but just use this press and roll motion. One last step I need to do, but I will finish off other powder products like the bronzer, blushes, all the stuff, and I'll come back and show you guys the final step. Alright guys, so I have done rest of my face. I have applied blush, bronzer, highlighter. Now the final step, I'm gonna use this setting spray to lock in everything. So all this work we have done, this is gonna put it in place, lock it, seal it, make it budge proof, sweat proof, heat proof. So this is a crucial step. I didn't want to use it right after foundation, because these bronzer, blush, highlighter, all these powder products, I don't want to place them on top of the setting spray. So this is the very last final step that you need to use after finishing all the makeup. So just shake it a bit and try to use it in T motion, like one like this and one like this. But sometimes, you know, I just like to pair with my setting spray, but you probably don't need that much. So that's it guys. As you can see, we have successfully concealed all those dark spots, dark circles around my face. I had quite a few. I'll put up a before picture here so that you can compare. You can definitely see the big bump here and here, the texture of it. But as I have mentioned, no makeup can hide the texture, but we have evened out the skin. Definitely we have evened out the skin there, and it looks a lot better now. But if I turn my head, you can definitely see the bump, because these are pretty big bumps and it has texture. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye beauties.